for joining us today on City Life. Now, as I said yesterday, these are our last few days on Māori television. We thank them for their support since we relaunched at the beginning of May, so our last day there is the 31st of July. But don't worry, you can still catch us on CTV and also online, ctv.co.nz. Now, today on the programme, Dr. Mark Quigley and Professor Jarg Pettinga to talk about the earthquake lectures. Gardening with Rachel Vogan, we meet a New Zealand karate champion, and she must be our youngest person that I've interviewed here on City Life, and the film festival with Nick Paris. But first, Roger Sutton. Good to have you here.
Good morning, Kaneda.
So let's look at what the latest is at CERA at the moment.
We've been writing to people who live in the red zone, who we want to make a formal offer to, asking for their consent that we can start sharing information with their insurance companies, with the EQC and those sorts of people. So we've asked them just so we can share information. We're not asking them to accept our offer. We're merely asking for their permission so we can start talking to insurance companies and all those people, so we can, in a couple of weeks' time, make them their formal offer. So it's just purely a permission thing. OK,
what if they say no?
Well, if they say no, it gets much harder for us to make them an offer. And I guess we actually haven't thought a lot about if people don't want us to share information with their insurance companies, but overall, we need their permission at some stage to talk to their insurance company, or we need to find a way of getting through that. Otherwise, we can't actually make them an offer. OK,
now let's look at what's happening in the red zones at the moment. Or, in fact, all the zones. Well,
the other thing that's really going on, we're trying to resolve the orange people and try and give them some clarity. So there's a lot of engineering work going on there. And once we've got that information, that we can turn an area green or red, we'll tell people as soon as those decisions are made. Last week, large areas of Waimeka area and so on that were white turned green. That doesn't mean everyone that's green can just rebuild. Some of them are going to need extra strong foundations and those sorts of things, but it means that they can go back to those sites, which is a good thing. OK.
Now, you're about to be presented with a petition with 5,000 signatures on it, urging rebuild leaders to put sustainability at the heart of plans for Christchurch. Now, what will you do with this kind of petition?
Well, I got that petition yesterday, and I think it's good. People are actually thinking about what they want in the rebuild. There's a lot of other people talking to us about what they want as well, and you know, I'm the guy that bikes to work. I'm the guy that lives in the super energy efficient house, so I'm on that team already. But as much as a society, you know, we want things to be sustainable, but if there are other trade-offs to be made, if that's going to take longer, people happy to be more sustainable will take longer. And those are the sort of conversations we need to be having with, you know, the broader community. But I think overall, you know, we're going to be building a city which is going to be around for 100, 200, 500 years. So let's build it so it does last, and let's build the materials that are actually as sustainable as possible, and build our buildings so they use as little energy as possible. I think that for me makes a lot of sense.
So what's it like getting a petition like this? Do you look at them seriously?
Oh, we do. And I mean, yeah, I think 5,000 is a significant number. But I guess, you know, there are other people that are talking to us as well. You know, we've been having these community consultation meetings, talking about the recovery strategy. So, you know, it's not just signing a petition is the way people can talk to us. There's lots of other ways people can talk to us, and we need to be open to having all those different communication methods as well.
OK. So how are the community meetings going? Are they still going?
We've finished with, we had the last one, I think it was last week, but we have had a lot of them. We've had sort of somewhere between 500 and 1,000 people meet with us, talk about what they want to see in that recovery strategy. And all that feedback goes into the recovery strategy. We'll be publishing a draft in either late August or early September, with a final version being done somewhere around Christmas time. So people have been enthusiastic with lots of ideas, from let's leave some ruins to the sustainability question to let's have bigger parks. People have come up with all sorts of ideas.
All right. How has the big snow this week impacted things with CERA? Has it at all?
Well, a little bit. It sort of meant that it was difficult for some people to get to work on Monday. It's meant that the demolitions had to slow down. But I think, you know, we always expect to get some sort of inclement weather sometime during the winter, and we've had a bit of it. And for me, it was almost a bit of a relief having something slightly different.
Yeah, and especially for the eastern suburbs as well.
Yeah, I think it would have been a lot more difficult for people if, you know, there'd been widespread power outages, something like that. Because, you know, when people have got broken houses, the power going out, there's a lot of heat pumps out there, would have made life very stressful for people. But the power largely stayed on due to those good people that arrived.
Yeah, I think you've got something to do with that. Must do, yeah. Now, tell me about the expos that are coming up.
So this is also really about people who are currently living in the red zone, trying to think about what they're going to do. So it's about trying to start giving them information from building developers, from real estate agents, from insurance companies, all the people they need to talk to if they're going to be building or moving. Seminars from different people as well. So this is from midday till, I think, 5 or 6 on Saturday, and then 10 till about 5 or 6 on Sunday. And it's going to have 70 different exhibitors, seminars, putting everything in one place. And I think it's really important people who are living in the red zone, who are deciding they're going to move, that they don't make their decisions quickly. These are really important decisions. Some of these people have not moved for a long period of time. They need to be taking their time. We're just trying to help them start conversations with different people. And I guess the other thing with this is not an environment people are allowed to do any hard selling. This is really about information. And free buses to get there. Good. I think people are putting on tea and coffee and scones, so we're trying to make it easy. We don't really, in some ways, concern. They were the real drivers behind this. We've done this in a hurry. It won't be perfect, but it's really important we just get out there and we do stuff right now to get people good quality. Okay, so everyone in the red zone knows about it? I think they do. And, I mean, if they don't know about it, they've now heard about it from you. Exactly. Now, how can they find out more about it? Is there anything online? Or it's on our CERA website, CERA, CERA.govt.nz. Okay. So it's all there. All right, and the latest the focus this week for CERA? Really, a lot of those land issues, getting the demolitions going again. And I'm still trying to hire people. I'm still going through the process of trying to hire more senior people to work with me. So, I've actually still only been in the job for 5 or 6 weeks. And yeah, that's right. And restart 2019-11, still on track? I think that is still on track. And for those who want to see something pretty spectacular, what I call the old Equity Corp building, or the DTZ building on the corner of Cashel and Oxford, by the Bridge of Remembrance, that's coming down. That's one of the buildings that has to come down as part of the restart. That's a spectacular demolition using a real old-time wrecking ball. Oh, is that what they're doing? An old-time wrecking ball, yeah. OK, and what are they doing? Is it Clarendon Towers? Have they decided on explosion? No, well, in fact, Clarendon Towers, no decision's been made about whether it's coming down. So there's still a bit of toing and froing going on there with engineers thinking about that. But, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the big buildings are going to be coming down. All right. Roger, thanks for your time today. Cool. After the break, Professor Jarg, Pettinga and Dr. Mark Quigley. You're back with City Life. Now, free Quake lectures have just started at the University of Canterbury, and here to chat about them is Professor Jarg Pettinga and Dr. Mark Quigley. Both good to have you both on the program. Good to have you back here on the program. Now, Mark, tell me about what you spoke about on Wednesday night at the lecture.
Well, we handled all aspects of the earthquake sequence, from the Darfield earthquake in September, the discussion of aftershocks, a discussion of the probability forecasts and things like that, what they mean. We talked about the unique attributes of our earthquake sequence, of where we fit into the global picture, what's different, what's the same, really based around, is this sort of thing normal? We talked about earthquake fatalities in respect with large earthquakes around the world, how we fit into that picture, and about, that this gives us this opportunity to be a more resilient city. How do we take that opportunity? And then Jarg focused a lot on, the seismic surveys which have been done, and some of the early results from those, what they mean for us going forward. Really a focus on what we've learned to this point, and sort of trying to put things into a context that's perhaps user-friendly for people to try and understand what's going on, where they fit in. OK. Now, Jarg, do you think you got across at the lecture what you wanted to get across? Yeah, I did. It was an opportunity really to spend a little bit of time working through the data that we've collected. Some of it actually came in on the morning, so we were sort of catching up with it very late in the piece. Amazing. So all the data has now been processed. It's a company in Canada. It was a great opportunity for me just to be able to lay that out for an audience, and to be able to talk about it in some detail, because typically, when you just talk about these things in a little clip in the news, it's not very informative in that sense. So I think everybody appreciated that, and then we were able to sort of finish off with a sort of context as to what this earthquake sequence really is all about in terms of a geologic setting of the Canterbury region. And
And that kind of tied Mark's half and my half together at the end of the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you had half an hour each, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So for those of us who weren't there last night, Wednesday night, what exactly did you talk about? Can you give us some more information?
Yeah, well, one of the interesting things that I focused on was we've been doing a lot of work on the Darfield earthquake. We're mapping the surface rupture and all these sorts of things. And when we look at the amount of displacement, the amount of offset that was torn apart in the ground during that earthquake, relative to the length of the surface rupture, it's one of the highest ever recorded for any earthquake of that in that magnitude range, and bigger than that magnitude. So that was really kind of an interesting result that has come out of our research, which has allowed us to publish that research in high quality international journals with University of Canterbury students and colleagues from GNS Science, which we're really quite excited about. So we focused on those attributes. We focused on the complexity of these earthquakes, that they're not just a single rupture on one fault, that they involve multiple seismic sources, multiple faults rupturing in close successions, seconds apart, and the implications of that for the amount of seismic energy that gets released in those earthquakes. I talked about the fact that because these faults have long earthquake recurrence intervals, they actually have a chance to sort of anneal and become stronger between earthquakes than, say, faults like the Alpine Fault, which rupture more frequently, or the North Anatolian Fault in Turkey, or the San Andreas Fault. And so when they break, they liberate quite a bit of energy, and we refer to that as a stress drop. So basically the stress state in the crust prior to the earthquake at the fault versus after the earthquake, that amount of stress drop is actually really quite high. And that that is consistent with the large amount of slip for a fault of that length, and also the amount of energy that gets radiated. And that the February event was a really dramatic example of that. There was a lot of energy there. The rupture speed also. The faults actually break. They start at a patch, a rupture patch, and then they propagate out. And the speed at which they propagate also controls how that energy is released. So if they break really rapidly, which in this case would be something like 3 kilometers a second, that's how big that fault would grow during the earthquake. That's at a very similar speed to the damaging waves, the S waves that get created from the earthquake. So it's almost like getting the blow all at once in that February earthquake, that you had the rupture growing at a very similar speed to the seismic waves it was creating. And so it was, instead of having it start someplace, release some of the seismic waves, and then gradually release that over a longer period of time, it was sort of that direct blow all at once.
Okay.
So those were some of the interesting attributes that we talked about.
All right. Now, Jarg, I mean, you've researched this and you've studied this over the years. What's it like now to actually be experiencing earthquakes?
Well, it's a mixed blessing, isn't it? I mean, as a scientist and as a geologist, it has a lot of interest. But of course, we're also, both us and everybody else in the community, are living through what is a very difficult period. So, in a sense, it gives purpose to the research. It's sharpened our focus a lot, and I think gives us a real determination to continue with the work that we've been doing over, well, more than 25 years, I guess, in this region. And at the same time, we're gaining insights now into the way that the fault system in Canterbury is working that we wouldn't have had had we not had these earthquakes. So there are benefits in that way. And ultimately it means that we'll be better prepared for when other events happen in the future.
Okay, now, there are 4 more in this lecture series. It's not you again. What are the other lectures coming up?
Yeah, it was Miško Kubranowski. He's from the Department of Civil and National Resource Engineering. He's talking on liquefaction. Miško's been doing a lot of work with his team, postgraduate students and colleagues from overseas and elsewhere in New Zealand. The next lecture after that, I think, is on the Port Hills landslides and rockfalls by 2 of our colleagues from the department, David Bell and Marlene Villeneuve. And then I think there's a presentation by 2 other structural engineers, Andy Buchanan and Stefano Pampanin, on how buildings have sort of got through this and what lessons we've learned. And the final in the series, I think, is by one of the psychology lecturers from the university, Deke Hilton.
Oh, good. Okay. Now, people who can't get to the lectures, are these online at all?
They will be, yeah. They'll be available online.
Great.
I think they will be available online once the lecture series is completed.
Okay.
So they'll be able to go to the University of Canterbury website, download them and watch them, stream them.
And people can register for these lectures, so they make sure they get a seat this time.
Yes, it's the way they've done it is they just have a booking system so that we don't end up with lots of people disappointed on the night because we've run out of seats. So last night we actually had 3 lecture theatres going, which is not ideal because, you know, we can only be in one place talking. But it did mean that we could have more people attending. And there is a booking system. You just go online to the university homepage and follow the link to the Earthquake Lecture Series, and then you can book for whichever or all of the lectures from there.
Sounds good. All right, Mark, Jarg, thank you for coming on the programme.
My pleasure.
After the break, we catch up with Rachel Vogan with gardening. You're back with City Life, and Rachel Vogan is here to talk about gardening. Good to see you.
Oh, Kanita, lovely to see you.
Right, today I think it's topical to talk about snow and frost in our gardens.
Oh my goodness, how have you coped with it this week?
What, in my garden?
Yeah, no, with the snow, just getting out and about.
My feet are cold and it's so slippery out there.
Have you got gumboots?
No.
Oh, we need to get you gumboots.
Yeah, no, all my shoes have got little heels on them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they're good because they hold you up in the snow. They sort of lock you in.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
They are. They're like crampons, I suppose.
They are.
Yeah. So how have you coped?
Well, we've had a lot of snow out where we live, and the biggest thing for me has been protecting the plants that have been covered in snow and deciding which ones I need to take the snow away from and which ones I can leave underneath the snow. And there'll be a lot of gardeners locally that are having those sort of issues, thinking, can I leave the snow on my plants? Do I need to take it off? And the simple answer is if your plant is delicate and could be affected by when we get the frost now that it's snowed, because we've had so much snow and we're going to get some really hard frosts now. So if you've got snow on your lemon tree, for example, or anything that is fragile, you need to remove the snow off the top of the plant. Okay. An easy way to do that is to get the hose or a bucket of warm water and just gently melt the snow so it isn't the weight that could possibly be breaking the branches and things like that. So get rid of the snow where possible on delicate plants, but on really tough plants, like, as you'll know, like roses and polyanthus.
I love that, as you'll know. Thank you.
Horticultural goddess Caneta.
Yes, thank you.
They are really robust, and you don't need to remove the snow from really tough plants that are either deciduous, like I said, roses, camellias, rhodos. They'll be fine, because where they naturally are from, they are covered in snow half of the year anyway, from coming from the Himalayas, such as rhododendrons and azaleas, so they will cope really well. So around the city, things are going to be pretty good, but it's just those plants that are fragile and like lemon trees and things like that, that you'll need to remove all the snow from to help protect them.
Now, I have noticed before the snow came that daffodils were starting to come out.
Yeah.
Would they have all been squashed?
No, well, what you sort of find is as the snow gently falls, it just falls around the base of the plant. So driving in today, I thought I must come back and take a photo of this because all the daffodils are sitting up above the snow. And they're really, really hardy and really tough. So your bulbs will be fine. Don't worry about your bulbs at all. They'll be... So don't worry about going home, Caneta, and removing all the snow from your bulbs.
I don't have a garden. So anyway, what have you brought today?
Oh, I just bought my little gardening kit that I think everyone needs a gardening kit.
Okay.
And I'm thinking that you need something like this, like a nice little truck that you can cart around the garden. Gloves. I would get, seriously, would get you a more fashionable looking pair of gloves, but these are very robust.
Yeah. They do look robust.
They are robust.
I'm going to get a garden. That's it. I'm moving.
No, I'm helping you. I'm going to help you.
Oh, okay.
We're going to get you growing.
Really?
And in a few weeks, we're going to talk about microgreens, so you can grow your own little healthy microgreens.
Oh, cool.
And we're going to get you growing.
Okay.
Going on growing. Secateurs, you always need those. String, very important to tie things up. Obviously, you need some seeds if you're going to do some seed sowing.
Okay.
Sweet peas are due to go in, so
Are they?
I may even challenge you to that. But I'm going
Really?
to start with microgreens because
Yeah.
you can eat those.
Let's start with something simple, yes, and that I can eat.
And microgreens are easy. Like within 10 days, within the 2 weeks that I don't see you, we would have been able to sow them and we will be harvesting them.
Oh, this is really exciting.
It is exciting.
I love a good challenge.
It will be a good challenge,
good.
but you can do it.
Okay.
If we can get you to do it, a lot of people follow.
All right, cool. And so what else is it a good time to start growing? Sweet peas?
Oh, well, sweet peas, and I love the fragrance of sweet peas. Oh my God, it's delicious. So you can pop them in now, and what actually happens because the soil's cold, it actually stimulates them to grow. So Mother Nature was very, very clever. With some plants, they need warmth to grow. Other plants start germinating when it's cold. So good time to put sweet peas in now.
Okay.
Prune your roses. You need to finish off pruning your roses. Your fruit trees, you need to finish off pruning those if you haven't started as well.
All right.
And with those, you want to be taking out any dead branches or anything that's sort of got too big to trim them down to size to make it easier to pick the fruit, because you don't really want all the fruit to be on top of the plant where you can't reach it. It needs to be sort of a little bit lower. And you can start planting poppies and things like that to have a little bit of colour once spring arrives. So there's actually a lot you can do. Excuse me, a lot you can do.
Okay.
But you can also sit inside and read a book and just look outside at the garden, or go for a drive by and someone who's got a nice garden
And look at someone else's.
Yeah.
Now, one more question I need to ask: protecting things from frost.
Yes.
Can you cover things?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
There's lots of mesh and things you can buy from the garden centre. I often just use an old sheet if I'm really worried about something.
Okay.
Particularly my standard lemon trees I've got in pots. I'll just chuck an old sheet over the top of them when I think it's going to freeze, or I can, if they're in pots, I can move them up against the house. So plants that are frost tender definitely protect them. But I'd suggest that you don't plant plants that are frost tender, because if you forget, get busy, and you don't cover them and they die, you're not going to feel great.
Yeah, all right. I'm looking forward to my challenge.
Your challenge is going to begin within the next few weeks.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Look
And isn't it good to see the antirrhinum?
Yeah, I know. It's in bloom.
Anthurium, sorry.
I thought that was a different name.
Yeah, no, sorry,
Anthurium.
Apologies.
Anthurium, yes. It's thriving.
It is thriving. Well
one
done.
water. That's
well
one water
done.
in 14 weeks. So
That proves that's hardy.
yeah. Or I'm just a really good waterer.
Yes.
Anyway, Rachel, really good to have you on the program.
Good to see you.
Okay, now here's Jeff Morton.
The rebuild of Christchurch takes a rapid step forward this weekend when the My Housing Options Expo, conducted by CERA, is conducted at the Addington Event Centre. It'll be this Saturday, the 30th of July, and Sunday, the 31st of July, 12 till 6 and 10 till 4 on respective days. There'll be a number of booths there where you can discuss options with people from the insurance companies, from banks, from builders, real estate agents, property developers, and also folk who are going to give seminars on the Saturday and the Sunday. And with me today is Tony McPherson, one of those folks. Welcome, Tony. And we're going to be speaking to you about your particular role at this expo.
Well, my role at this is to present to those people in the red zone about purchasing an existing property. For a lot of them, this is probably pretty unexpected, and for a lot of them, they may have not been through the process before.
Right.
Some people may only have changed houses once or twice in a lifetime. And part of the expo is buying a house. It will also be covering building and renting. So what we're going to cover is basically ensuring your capacity to what you can spend or invest in a home, and the process of sort of gaining that market knowledge.
So when folk come along to this particular seminar, they're basically, some of them will be, say, 30 or 40 years since they've purchased. They'll be trying to understand greater implications this time, rather than just going out, selling a house and purchasing as we did in the past. The whole ball game's changed.
Yeah, the situation with the red zone people, we're suggesting, of course, first of all, to talk to their lawyer in regards to where the settlement is and the offer and settlement.
Sure.
So that's quite clear. And then we're the market has changed, in recent years,
Yes.
and technology plays a greater part, and it's it's a bit of a daunting task to go out there and say, well, what's this house worth, or am I buying the right property? So we want to help them, guide them through this, point them in the direction of experts, get out there and go to open homes, have a look on the website of what's available. You can now sort of subscribe to alerts for new properties coming on the market. And it's surprising how soon you will build a knowledge of the marketplace.
So you're building this knowledge, Tony, and you're facilitating it. Is that correct?
They'll be drawing that knowledge from a lot of different areas, from the media. They'll establish a relationship with a salesperson who they sort of can relate to and trust.
Right. And you'll be able to guide them to areas to go. You'll be able to perhaps help them understand land issues, which I'm sure is foremost in people's minds.
Well, it's in Christchurch and Canterbury now, when we enter into a sale and purchase agreement, or probably more commonly known as the contract,
yes.
We do have a lot of sort of special clauses in there now that are sort of now become very much part of the document for Canterbury around structural integrity, the geotech reports, insurance, being able to make sure you can get insurance.
And you'll obviously also be working with folk regarding, how much they can spend, what their issues are around loans and overdrafts and banking. You can help them with that.
Yes, we will be directing them to the appropriate people in those areas, but just giving them an overview of ensuring what their capacity to, what level to go to, and that's got to be something that they are comfortable with. People sometimes say, hey, you can go up to this level, but
yes.
Is that going to ultimately impact on your lifestyle if interest rates rise? Well, they are at historical low levels now,
yes.
so
the game will change, won't it?
Yes.
In that respect.
Yes. Yes.
And also you can give help, you can give help with areas and say, well, this particular area has got these facilities, or would you be comfortable in this? So you're obviously able to guide folk in their search. Yes,
and also when they're making considerations of properties, giving them information to be clear. If they're doing comparisons, some of the factors that may influence the value of properties, like school zones, on a busy road, beside a different land use, be commercial. And the other one is very topical at the moment, ensuring that they don't end up in a leaky home.
There's a lot of issues, Tony. Tony, thank you so much for your time, and if you're going out to that expo, make sure that you capture those lectures.
You're back with City Life, where we're going to learn about fracking. Now, Tomo, tell me, what is fracking?
Hi. Fracking is actually short for hydraulic fracturing, and fracking is drilling into the ground deeply to the shale. And when it's hit the shale, inside the shale, drilling goes horizontally, and explosives are set off in the pipe, horizontal pipe there, and make lots of cracks and release the shale gas to the ground.
Okay.
And but then to expand and increase those cracks, 11 million litres of waters are injected with sand, and 200,000 litres of very toxic chemicals together into the ground, to the shale, to the pipe. Then, but that has done under the great pressure. So about 2 million litres of that frack water sort of bounced back, flow back and that's really highly toxic.
Why do they do it,
water.
and who is doing it?
Players are like BP, Shell, Mobil, big oil and gas companies.
Okay, and why do they do it? Allegedly?
I suppose that's for, profit and, yeah.
So
okay.
where is it apparently happening?
In the world, it's been going on in US for 10 years. And it started actually in New Zealand too. Actually, those companies are expanding. Started off from US and then Europe and everywhere in the world now, and looking for the place to extract more gas.
Okay.
Yes.
So why is this a problem?
Okay. There are many, many problems, but there are, I must say, 3 major problems. The first one is it causes earthquakes. And in America, in Arkansas, there are quite strong earthquakes last year, and many more earthquakes than they had last 100 years. And also earlier this year in UK, there are 2 experiments of fracking, and it causes earthquakes too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is evidence to show that fracking
Yes,
causes
that's
earthquakes.
actually on news. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's...
So why do you think this is happening under the radar?
That's a good question. Actually, I want to ask that question to the government. Why, we are not informed of such a risky, such a dangerous exploration in a beautiful, resourceful land in here?
Do you know exactly where it is happening in New Zealand?
Taranaki in North Island, and also many applications are submitted to everywhere, including whole Canterbury Plains.
That's where it's happening in the Canterbury Plains?
It's applications are submitted
Oh,
to
right.
the Canterbury.
Oh, is that
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how can people find out more about fracking? How do you know about it?
More about fracking. Actually, it has not been in the media because democratically elected ECAN, Environmentally Canterbury, removed for this assessing what's going on with this fracking. So myself and my husband actually searched by ourselves, Google search and get the information. And now I'm really spreading this information by, emails or whatever.
So can people get in touch with you if they are also concerned about fracking?
Of course.
Okay,
yeah.
how can they get in touch with you?
By email.
What is that?
It's Tomo Takaku, my name, at gmail.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Tomo, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Now here's Jeff Morton.
I'm talking today with TSB Banking Manager and CEO Kevin Murphy about the bank and this weekend's My Housing Expo, which is being held at the Addington Events Centre. And of course, it's this Saturday the 30th and Sunday the 31st, 10 till 12 and 12 till 6 respectively. We'll be discussing options with Kevin about the bank and what the TSB Bank's role is.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, tell me a wee bit about TSB Bank.
Well, TSB Bank was established in 1850, so that makes us one of the oldest banks in New Zealand. And some 160 years later, we're still here, we still exist, we're 100% New Zealand owned and fiercely independent. And that New Zealand ownership, that 100% New Zealand ownership, gives us the freedom to be able to deliver on our promises to our customers, our first-rate service to our customers. And we now have 150,000 customers spread right throughout New Zealand, including here in Christchurch.
So you've got a real presence in Christchurch and you're expanding throughout the country.
Yes, for the last 10 years we've experienced significant growth, and part of that growth was opening a service centre branch here in Christchurch in 2001, and we experienced significant customer demand, and the growth was such that we expanded into purpose-built premises in the CBD in late 2009. However, unfortunately, those premises are part of the tied up with the February earthquake, and so they're currently off-limit, and they're part of the cordoned-off area in the CBD. So we're currently operating out of temporary premises in Manchester Street.
And so that's down at the bottom end of Manchester Street, down towards Morehouse?
Yes, it is.
So your customers can find you there?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, what part is the TSB Bank doing or doing at the Housing Expo?
Yeah, we're proud to be part of the Expo. It's going to be an exciting weekend. And so we're there offering, talking to customers and potential customers about issues regarding how they can participate in the rebuild process. And so as part of that, we'll have an offer out to customers where they can borrow up to $500,000, and they'll get a 2% reduction in interest rate for the first 12 months. And in addition, they won't pay any application fees, and we'll help them out with the cost of any legal fees that may be associated with putting a mortgage together.
That is a very, very generous offer, and I think that people at this time need reassurance that the banks are on their side.
Yes, it's just one way we can show our support for the people of Christchurch.
Fantastic. Now, what else does the TSB Bank offer?
Oh, look, we're involved in everything that you'd find in any other bank. So we're involved in housing loans, we're involved with investment accounts, savings and transactional accounts. And of course, not only that, but the world of electronic banking, and we've got a fantastic offer in that area, so people can use internet banking, phone banking, or text banking, in fact, and use the banking tool, which allows customers, no matter where they are, to be able to do much of their banking needs online with us.
So you're a New Zealand-owned bank, of course, and what makes the TSB different from other banks?
For us, it's about customer service. It's delivering on a fantastic customer service. That's the key to it for us. We have what we call an expect more philosophy. So that is that customers can expect a different banking experience, a special banking experience when they come and talk with one of our TSB representatives.
So when you go into the bank, if you go up to you see the same tellers, you see the same bank officers, if the bank's your regular call.
Yes, absolutely right. But at TSB Bank, that customer service is paramount.
Great. And how do we get in touch with you?
Well, of course, we'll be at the Expo this weekend, which is the My Housing Expo at the Addington Event Centre on the weekend, or alternatively, customers can contact us through our 0800 TSB Bank, or of course on our website www.tsbbank.co.nz.
Kevin, thank you so much for your time, and I wish you well.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
There we are. You can, of course, contact TSB Bank, free phone right throughout New Zealand on 0800 872 2265, or go online to tsbbank.co.nz.
Welcome back to City Life, and we're lucky enough to have a national karate champion, in studio, and most probably our youngest guest on City Life. Mellisa, welcome to the program.
Hello.
And your sensei, Rebecca. Good to have you both here. Now, how long have you been training for?
I've been training for 2 years, and I train for 4 hours a week, and I do separate training for the Canterbury karate team.
Do you? So you're on the Canterbury karate team as well?
Yep.
So 4 hours a week, that's a lot. And separate training, do you do that at home?
No, on Sunday in the Bishopdale Library place.
Do you?
Yeah.
So forget about reading, you do some karate?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why did you get into karate?
Because my big brother Isaac started, and it looked really fun, and Isaac was winning heaps of medals and trophies, and I wanted to win some for myself.
That's a good idea, eh?
Yep.
Yeah. So tell me about what is fifth, and I need to get it right, Q.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It means you're halfway to your black belt.
That is amazing. You've been doing it for 2 years.
Yep.
I quite like the purple belt, to be honest.
Yep.
It's pretty, eh?
Yeah.
Let's look at some of your medals. These are just some of them, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they're very heavy. Now, tell me, first of all, about these 2 black ones.
Well, they were from the Nationals in Wellington.
Okay. When was that?
Oh, it was in Wellington on the 16th of June.
Oh, okay. So, and then Are these two both gold? Were they one silver and one gold? Is that right?
Yeah.
What are they from?
They're from the New Zealand Open at the start of the year.
And where was that?
In the YMCA.
Oh, here in Christchurch. Right. That's awesome. So what else have you won in your 2 years?
I've won heaps of golds and silvers.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's good. Now, Rebecca, tell me about your school. You've come a long way since Cashmere High School.
That's for sure. I took over Kaiwhakan School I've been doing it for 3 years now. I've been doing karate for 25 years,
Yeah.
so quite a while. But we have quite a good school now going, and we run just in Bishopdale. So
Okay. So for someone like Mellisa, being halfway through to her black belt in just 2 years, is that normal? Is she, progressing quite fast?
Melissa's progressing really well, and the reason that she's doing that is because she puts the effort in and she trains.
Okay.
If I ask her to do something, I only have to ask her once, then she will go and practice.
So what is it about karate that keeps you going? Not just the medals, I know that.
It's really fun because Rebecca makes it fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Now, what do you prefer, kata or kumite?
I prefer kata because it's very precise and I like to practice it a lot.
Yeah, okay. And you are going to show us something today. Is that kata? Kata?
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool. I look forward to seeing that. And what is your favourite technique? Is it kata? No?
No,
Favourite technique?
it's a Jude washigiri.
Yeah.
I think that's roundhouse kick.
Okay.
And I score heaps of points off that.
Do you?
Her highest point scoring technique at the moment is a roundhouse kick to the head. So she's kicking quite high for her size, and most of the time she's the littlest in the division. So everybody else is generally about this much taller than her.
Really?
So, yeah.
And you get them to the head? Do you actually, in karate, strike people, or is it just the precision of it?
It's precision. For Melissa's age group, there's no contact, but they can do techniques to the head. So.
Now, Mellisa, you have only just started fighting girls. Before this, you were fighting boys. What was it like fighting boys?
It was sort of the same as fighting girls.
Okay.
There's not much of a difference.
Oh, really?
No.
Not much of a difference at all. All right, do you know what? I think we've got just enough time for you to show us your kata. Would that be all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sofa. Kyo. Kyo.
That was awesome. That was cool. I was a bit scared of you then. How long have you been practicing that?
I only learnt it before the Nationals.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So she's doing really well, Rebecca.
It's amazing. I taught her that in one night.
There was
At
so
one
many
training
movements.
session. I know. But she went home, she practiced it, came back to training the next Thursday and just...
So
she could do it.
That's amazing. How do you remember all those moves?
You just...
She just did it.
You just do it. Oh, you make it look fun as well and scary.
Yeah.
Hey, looking forward to catching up with you soon. Have you got anything coming up?
There's the next tournament this year is actually in Cromwell.
Okay.
And that's the Otago Open, and that's Labour Weekend.
Okay. I look forward to catching up with you then. You telling me exactly what you've been up to.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Mellisa, really good to have you on the program. Rebecca, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Finally on the program, Nick Paris from the New Zealand International Film Festival. Good to have you here.
Last but not least.
Yeah, exactly. This is the most prized spot, on the program.
Thank you very much.
So not long now until the festival begins?
Yeah, a couple of weeks. So we've had our big snowfall here, so now it's time to rush and get your program and go online and do all your bookings.
Yep. Because bookings are now open.
They are.
Yep.
They are. So what a great festival to get transported away, and that's the motif this year, is just to get out of all of Mother Nature's troubles here, and away you go.
And there are loads of films to look forward to.
I can't actually pick a motif this year. Usually there's some sort of subtext you can pick about the selection of films, but this year there's something for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And is it Northlands?
It is, yes.
Hoyt's Northlands, they're opening up their doors for the film festival. All right, what are we looking at this week?
Oh, well, I thought we could start off with Meek's Cut-Off. And it's kind of like Beware the Meek, Greek bearing gifts, because here we have three families in the Wild West in America in 1845, hopping into their old squeaky wheel sort of, what do you call it, those wagons?
Oh, yeah.
OK. Going across the west to seek fortune in maybe California, and they enlist help of a bedraggled old man to try and get them there. But before I tell you too much, there's not a lot of exposition in terms of narrative here, but basically it's the three female protagonists there are very observational about racism once they find a Native American Indian in on their trail, and of course there's a lot of distrust of him, and which splits and divides these families as to yes, he will help us, or no, we don't trust him, he's a native, you know, fear and paranoia. So let's take a look at a clip.
Yeah, let's do that. All right.
In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. And now, lest he put forth his hand, and take also of the tree of life, and eat, and live forever.
Well, if it's riches you're after, there's riches aplenty. That's the truth. You mark my words. We follow land downhill.
We need water. That much I know.
That's what you think, that we're lost?
I'd say that seems about the right word for it.
We're not lost, we're just finding our way.
I don't blame him for not knowing. I blame him for saying he did.
We made our decision. This is going to be a bad dream soon. It's going to be a story to tell. It's a quick one. He knows where the water is.
I've seen him strip the flesh clean off a man while he's still breathing. You people got no idea what you are dealing with here.
We caught him signaling to someone. It means something. Open your eyes. God knows where he's taking us.
Is he ignorant, or is he just plain evil?
Who knows what's over that hill? Could be water. Could be an army of heathens.
It's about water and desperation, don't you think?
Yeah, sure is.
And it's kind of like being trapped in a lift, but only here you don't see any horizons, or, you know, it's kind of it's a polar opposite effect, but you still feel claustrophobic because you don't know what they're heading into. It's very black and psychological. So with a great cast of Shirley Henderson, Michelle Williams, and Bruce Greenwood and Will Patton, it fashions a very old-fashioned look at the West, but they're all pioneers, and I think it's expertly captured on camera.
All right, and now Heartbeats. Tell me about that one.
Oh, swinging sort of French film about 20s hipsters, really, who a beautiful blonde-headed Frenchman happens to find the affection of a brother and sister. So that throughout the movie, they're battling the affections of such, all very sort of in a French New Wave style, very slow with Wong Kar-wai photography sort of thing. But it's as only the French can do with love stories. It gets right into the underbelly of romantic obsession and what one will do to actually win the affection of that poor gentleman.
Okay, yeah. Now, page one, inside the New York Times.
Oh, well, I mean, this is, you know, we're in, you know, the social media and web-hungry sort of population. So basically, you know, what they're saying is the days are numbered for tabloids and newspapers. But try telling that to the New York Times, to the younger generation there who still work at the paper. They're using social media to help, you know, sort of diversify their beginnings. But here we look at an inside look at the New York Times. and we look at one of the old guards who happens to be a former crack addict. And with his old-fashioned reporting style and this social media sort of 20-something hipster again, we have this sort of unusual dichotomy trying to actually, you know, make the New York Times have a future. So there we have it.
OK, so there's so many more films, and we'll catch up with you again next week for a few more. Now, nzff.co.nz.
Yes.
But we do have a pass to give away, or we're going to be giving one of these away perhaps a week, a 5-trip day pass.
5-trip day pass, yep.
And what they can do is what? Email?
They email, or they can ring the receptionist, Marianne, at CTV.
Great, and then we'll put them in the draw.
Absolutely.
OK, thanks for that.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Take care. Bye.
OK, so to put your name into the draw for the 5-trip day pass, you can give Marianne a call, 3777 033, or you can email me, kanita@ctv.co.nz, and we'll pop you in the draw. Now, that is City Life for today, for this week. Thanks for sticking with the program today. You may tell that I'm a little bit tired, but that's because my sister had a baby last week. No, actually last night. There we go, I am tired. So I was with her. So congratulations to Amelia and Danny on the birth of Zia. Now, just to let you know that today is our last day on Māori television. We finish on 31st of July, but City Life's today is the last day. But you can still catch us on CTV and also ctv.co.nz. So we thank them for being part of our program and our station since we relaunched in May. Now, you can get in touch with us again, 3777 033. You can email me, kanita@ctv.co.nz, or you can write to us, PO Box 1100 Christchurch. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.